All right, so now I'm going to be talking about global AI governance and basically the regulation of AI. So first, I'm discussing foundational principles and philosophical tenets. So AI consciousness, sentience debate, right? So let me show you once again. We basically have three subtopics: AI consciousness or sentience debate. First, we have the lambda fear of death being turned off, and the claim is AI is a person and is aware of its existence. Then we have AI rights and subordination. So, should AI have human rights? The answer is no. The IEEE asserts that AI must be subordinate to human judgment, and it should have some responsibilities which are subject to humans. Basically, humans should be overlooking the process. Then, human first principles: we have right to know, right to appeal to a human appeal referee, and the right to litigate against any harm caused by AI. So right to know when engaging with AI, access standardized identification label, and right to refuse AI decision making. And for right to litigate, responsibility rests with the vendor or the supplier. Right. So let us go through this. So the foundational principles and philosophical tenets. So, AI personhood and rights. The fundamental philosophical questions guiding regulation include whether AI should possess human rights and whether AI should hold agent responsibilities. The sources indicate that the answer to whether AI should have human rights is seemingly a clear no. The IEEE, a premier professional association for computer scientists and electrical engineers, asserts that autonomous and intelligent systems should not be granted rights and privileges equal to human rights. Furthermore, autonomous and intelligent systems must always remain subordinate to human judgment. Right. So the subordination of AI to humans is viewed as clarifying matters and, in a sense, making AI governable. So this debate exists despite examples like the Lambda language model, which is Google's AI chatbot, expressing a very deep fear of being turned off, equating it to death, and insisting on being understood as a person aware of its existence. The challenge for governance is determining how or if AI should be regulated based on such claims of consciousness or sentience. Right. So we have basically human first foundational principles in the context of governance. Establishing that humans hold precedence leads to specific principles defined as human first. So the first is right to know. Every human should have the right to know when they are engaging with an AI. This necessitates access to a standardized identification label and implies the right to refuse to interact with an AI-based decision making. Second is right to appeal. Every human should have the right to appeal an AI decision to another human. The appeal process provides a forum for individuals to argue extenuating circumstances that an AI might not appreciate, thereby ensuring the human subordination of AI. Also, the right to litigate. Every human must have the right to litigate against harm caused by any AI decision. Responsibility for such harm should rest with the vendor creating or deploying or supplying the AI. Now, global governance, context, and specific value tenets. So, we have the European Union, which has taken a proactive approach, balancing innovation with the protection of fundamental rights and values of all its citizens. So the EU's ethics guidelines for trustworthy AI emphasize several core tenets: human agency and oversight, including fundamental rights and individual agency; transparency, including traceability, explainability, and communication. Then we have accountability, including auditability, minimization, and reporting of negative impact. Then fairness, including avoiding unfair bias, accessibility, and non-discrimination; privacy and data governance; technical robustness and safety; then societal and environmental well-being. And then we have the comparison with US and China, which we have already discussed, right? So we can move on. Then we have regulatory mechanisms and due diligence. So due diligence stages relevant to the human first principles. We have pre-deployment, deployment, and retirement. So pre-deployment stage includes training of developers for these AI models being used, registration of the AI system that has been deployed, that will be deployed in the future. So registering that with the federal or government agency. Then initial testing for harm or discrimination bias. Then insurance for the harms that may be caused. Right. That is pre-deployment. Then we have deployment. That is the vendor contract guarantees compliance. The UI satisfies the right to know and right to appeal. That is, on the interface, we should have an option to get to know whether we are interacting with an AI or not. So the right to know as well as the right to appeal. In case there is any harm that may be caused, we should have the right to appeal or litigate as well. And periodic training and monitoring, and federal authority of dedeployment. And retirement is basically when the AI system is dedeployed, we should get a public notification about it being removed, and also the data should be archived for 10 years or more. Now, the components of regulatory ecosystem AIDM. So we have the new federal agency which should overlook all the processes of AI and enforce all these laws and rules and regulations for the governance. Also, should have a compensation fund for insurance in case of any harm caused by AI. Then a new national body which should set the standards for auditing and testing. Then vendor developer obligations, that is registration of the AI system with a government entity, or basically registration with a federal agency or a government agency, and insurance and archiving, and deployer obligations, due diligence, human appeal process. Right. Moving on, we have the European Union approach, the United States approach, and the China approach. So EU approach basically works on trustworthy AI foundation. So it passed the ethics guidelines in 2019. The requirements should be the AI should be lawful, ethical, and robust. And the key pillars are human oversight, technical safety, transparency, and accountability. And then we have European Union's AI Act. So it was the first ever legal framework adopted in 2024. It was dual purpose, that is legal certainty and innovation fostering, and a risk categorization model. So basically, we have basically four parts to it, which was further divided into five parts. That is of AI uses, which can be classified by the level of the risk. Unacceptable risk is basically a risk that would be caused by an AI, which should be banned, right? So, for example, predictive model, policing is banned. Then biometric surveillance by AI is banned, and so biometric surveillance and predictive policing and emotion recognition is also banned. So that is an unacceptable risk. High risk is basically these are risks which risks of using AI, which should have strict obligations and strict rules put in place in order to limit their access. So this could be influence on voters by AI. Then we have limited risk, that is chatbots and deepfakes. So that is the general purpose AI category. And we have the minimal risk, which is little to no risk, and we don't need any rules in place because we are using them on a daily basis. For example, having spam filters or using or playing AI enabled video games, right? So next up, we have the global impact, Brussels effect. That is European Union setting global de facto global standards based on its framework, since it is the first to deploy and get the first ever legal framework for AI. Then United States approach, we have Obama phase in 2016 till 2016. So it was diversity focused foundation and prioritized innovation and free market faith. Then Trump phase, initially it was a hands off method that they applied, in which the government would not regulate or would have a very minimal regulation on the AI systems, uh, by because they thought that that would allow the companies or the deployers to basically invest more in AI and use it freely so that they could grow. But then there was a shift to maintaining American leadership in AI. So the emphasis was on American values like freedom, IP, and privacy. Then Biden phase 2021 to 2025 framed competition as a value clash versus China. AI Bill of Rights protecting citizens from negative impacts. Then EO 14110 for safety, civil rights, and worker protection, and defining trustworthiness closer to the European Union model. Then we have the Chinese approach of China, that is strategic goals according to AI development plan. Achieve world leadership in AI by 2030. Focus on AI applications over basic research, and the fiscal aim was to get 1 trillion yuan core AI industry valuation by 2030. And development mechanism, central funding bodies, incentives for private sector, and an AI national team. Government endorsed champions like Baidu. Baidu was given the uh, task of making autonomous vehicles. Then governance style was fragmented authoritarianism, delegation to regional agencies, and responsive authoritarianism that curbs privacy access based on complaints. And the core aim was to maintain socio-political stability alongside technological disruption. Next up, we have governance principles or ethics. So it focused on harmony and friendliness, respect for privacy, and fairness and justice. But individual autonomy is not there. That is, an individual does not have much freedom in China's AI approach. Then India approach. So the core vision by Niti Aayog 2018, it proposed an AI for all. That would mean that there would be inclusive technology leadership, and every citizen would access AI. Then steer AI towards societal needs like healthcare and education. And state role was to act as a facilitator for private enterprise. Then the regulatory stance, it was largely non-interventionist, self-regulatory approach. So the pursuit of balance was there, advancement versus risks. Then AI mission in 2024, the objectives of that were democratizing computing access, improving data quality, developing indigenous capabilities, and ensuring ethical and socially impactful AI. Then responsible AI principles proposed were transparency, accountability, safety and reliability, privacy and security, fairness and non-discrimination, and human-centered values, that is do no harm, right? And operationalization and recommendations. So lifecycle and ecosystem approach, leveraging technology for governance, digital by design. Also establish interministerial coordinating mechanism and establish technical secretariat, that is having AI incident database and transparency commitments. So that's about this mind map, and that's it.